How's it going, and welcome to the first episode of my Hunt Handbook series. This series is going to cover everything about Hunt Showdown 1896 with information for both noobs and veteran players alike. Coming from someone who I personally have over 2,000 hours in the game at this point, and I've been playing since the original launch back in 2018. So without further ado, this first episode is mostly going to be for the new players, and we'll cover the very surface of the lore and the core objective of the game. So Hunt Showdown is a very unique game. It's pretty hard to find any other games to compare it to with how niche it is and its styling as well as its genre. But the most simple way to describe it would be it's a old western horror style extraction shooter. The game itself takes place in an alternative historic timeline during the year of 1896. In this timeline, there's a demonic plague of sorts. It's kind of described in other ways as well, that has infected several regions of the United States and supposedly the outside world, but there's never really any end game mention or content about that. Many supernatural entities and events occur surrounding this plague, ranging from your generic zombie apocalypse. A lot of the basic like zombie-like monsters in the game were once people and they basically become zombified, pretty stereotypical. But then there's also stuff ranging to supernatural abilities that people have or the appearance of otherworldly, basically hellish monsters that threaten the outside world, and as a result, there are some organizations that have formed, such as the AHA, which stands for the American Hunters Association in the United States, which is formed to fight these monsters and prevent them from spreading into larger areas and civilization. These organizations employ what are referred to as hunters, which are the characters that you play as in the game. Hunters are pretty much expert gunslingers and sometimes literally just game hunters who are basically brave, greedy, bloodthirsty, pretty much suicidal enough to venture into these regions and slay the abominations for money. They are paid to kill and banish powerful monsters referred to in game as boss targets or wild targets. But since there's no law in such areas, pretty much anything goes, including killing other people who are after the same bounty, which is pretty much a core gameplay mechanic, is fighting other hunters. That adds the spice of the game, I would say. It's probably the most entertaining part of the game. There's way more lore to the game aside from this. This is just really shallow overview. But if you look around, you can find there's whole written summaries of the lore. I think there's some video content for it too that delves into it more. But definitely look into that if you're interested in it, because there's explanations for even like why certain monsters exist and all that kind of stuff if you're big into lore and everything, which I'll touch on that briefly, but my guide's mostly going to go over game mechanics and just kind of reference the lore a bit as like a quick summary. But that's pretty much the gist of all I need to know of like the lore of the game and like why everything occurs how it does. So right off the bat, Hunt Showdown has a pretty brutal learning curve for beginners. You're likely going to do what I did for my first 50 hours of the game, which is just cower in a bush, crouch walk everywhere, just begging to be shot in the head by someone who's watching you, jumping at every single sound. And then just dying to enemy AI a bunch.
I just can't do it. I can't take this shit no more, man.
That's just kind of how it goes for new players. Even with these guides, you've got to get your hands dirty and learn through trial and error for a lot of like very fine details that I can't even go into in these videos, but these guides are at least to try to help that process go by faster and get to the point where you really understand the game quicker and you're no longer just corner camping for the whole match, and you know when to sprint, when to be aggressive, when to be a bush camping rat, and all that kind of stuff, and everything in between. So before we truly get into the gameplay, let me drop some map knowledge on you. Hunt Showdown currently features 4 maps and 10 time of day / weather effect types. I'll make deep dive guides for these maps eventually, but in this video I'm just going to cover the basics of what is currently in the game so you can learn the mechanics by which they operate. The map and time of day and weather effects are randomly selected whenever you join a match. You cannot really see what you'll get until you load into the match, which can be both a blessing and a curse depending on your loadout. Obviously, poor visibility benefits close range loadouts, and good visibility benefits long range loadouts. All maps are 1,000 by 1,000 meters and have a hard border consisting of either a fence that you can't jump over, cliffs, or sometimes just an invisible wall on the border. Each map consists of 16 compounds, which are clearly defined and named groups of buildings. Each of these compounds will contain 1 clue. Every map has 3 compounds, which always contain 2 clues. These are always the largest compounds on the map. Alright, now that you've got some map knowledge, let's finally delve into the gameplay. There's 2 main game modes in Hunt Showdown, which are Bounty Hunt and Sole Survivor. Bounty Hunt is the default and most popular game mode in Hunt Showdown. Within Bounty Hunt, there are 2 contract options, Random Contract and Bounty Clash. The Random Contract is the original Hunt Showdown game mode. You spawn in on a random map during a random time of day. You have the entire map to explore and 40 minutes to find, kill, and banish the boss. Then extract with up to 11 other players to fight. Once all bounty tokens are extracted, the match timer reduces to 5 minutes. If you die or fail to extract in time, you permanently lose your hunter and all of their gear. Bounty Clash is a new game mode. You spawn in at the edge of a random compound with up to 11 other players on a random map with a random time of day. The map is limited to a circle around that compound. And if you leave the circle, you have only 10 seconds to return to the match area, or else you will die instantly. You have 15 minutes to banish the already dead boss target and extract with the only bounty token that it drops. After the token is extracted, the match timer reduces to 1 minute and 30 seconds. Just like Random Contract, if you die or fail to extract in time, you permanently lose your hunter and all of their gear. Sole Survivor is the other game mode that some people like me honestly forget even exists. I've genuinely never played Sole Survivor ever in over my 2,000 plus hours of the game. I just played it just now actually to get some experience with it and see how it fully plays. It's definitely a unique game mode that I might try out more often in the future, and super sweaty to be honest. In Sole Survivor, you don't get to select your hunter or loadout. It's solos only, and you spawn in with a random hunter and a crappy loadout consisting of one weapon, a melee tool, and a med kit. You at least get to choose what type of weapon you get: short range, medium range, melee, or random. You spawn in a random location at the edge of the map. Once the match starts, you need to activate the wellspring. To do so, you need to find and close 4 rifts. These function just like clues in Bounty Hunt and are visible in Dark Sight, with 1 per compound. Even the double clue compounds only have 1 rift in this game mode. Along the way, you can find all sorts of weapons, tools, and consumables scattered around the map. They will always be on these obvious looking blue crates. You will also get random traits from closing rifts. And upon closing the final rift, your location will be marked on the map and you will be visible in dark sight to all hunters permanently. You must survive until the timer runs out. If you aren't the first person to close all 4 rifts, then you must kill the hunter who is marked with at least 1 second remaining on the timer. Only the person who is marked during the last second will win and extract. If you win, you get some hunt dollars, and you get to keep your hunter with their loadout to use in Bounty Hunt. So that's all for this tutorial. Now that you have a basic understanding of the Hunt Showdown game modes, thanks for watching and happy hunting.